We're going to talk about the BBC coming up in this hour because they're under fire yet again. Once again, they've got it completely wrong. Newsround published an article aimed at children promoting the idea of white supremacy. I mean, you literally could not make this stuff up. To make matters worse, the article was written by controversial academic Kehinde Andrews, who thinks the late Queen was a symbol of white supremacy and who once compared Churchill to Hitler. Why on earth are our taxes funding this nonsense? In order to find out just why the BBC at the moment can't seem to get anything right at all, it's Rafe Heydel-Mankoo, broadcaster, historian and senior fellow at the New Culture Forum. Rafe, very nice to see you. Welcome. I know you've been here when I haven't been here, but it's for the first time.
Great to see you in situ. Welcome back.
Thank you very much indeed. You know, the culture wars go on. The streets are filled with demonstrators who are on the side of Palestine, many of them ripping down pictures of kidnapped babies off the bus shelters and signs around the capital. There's a lot for us to get into, but let us start off with the BBC, who are still in plenty of trouble about their inability to call Hamas terrorists. They've now decided it's a great idea to educate the nation's children about white privilege. I mean, what is wrong with them?
This is just, you know, the latest example of the degree to which our institutions have been captured by radical ideology.
Yeah.
But this is particularly pernicious because, you know, in schools you're not allowed to promote contested ideology like critical race theory, white privilege and gender ideology. But here we have the national broadcaster doing precisely that, and we're paying for it. We're paying for our children to be indoctrinated in the most heinous, corrosive sort of ideology that stokes division amongst people. I mean, you go and tell white working-class boys that they are beneficiaries of white privilege, the most underachieving segment of our population. You go and tell...
the most underrepresented group of people, by the way, at the BBC. Because the BBC claims to be diverse, but of course it isn't, as I will say. The problem with the BBC is everybody who works there is middle class. It doesn't matter what colour you are, they've all got a middle-class background. They've got no working-class kids there at all.
Well, and of course, one of the problems, the BBC doesn't have adverts, but if you switch over to a channel with adverts, you won't, if you see a single white person in a commercial break, I'll give you £5.
Yeah,
right?
right.
And and think about...
I won't be making very much money then.
Think of all of those, you know, white young graduates who can't get jobs because they don't fit the diversity quotas that are now being required. You know, if anything, you can say that there's a degree of black privilege that's now present in our culture today.
I mean, only the other day, I don't know if you saw Carol Sikora, our good friend, the cancer doctor, put out a tweet saying that he'd discovered that there was a job being offered in the NHS. I can't remember exactly where, but it was for a diversity champion or something. 120 grand a year. And you're kind of going, where is all the money going? Why are all these people telling us that they haven't got any money when they're spending that kind of money on these kinds of jobs? And you can be pretty damn certain that a white working-class kid is not going to get that job.
You're absolutely right. And there's another issue here. You know, the BBC have said recently how important impartiality is with the Palestine-Israel conflict.
They know about that.
Well, you know, where's the impartiality in this white privilege article where they've actually gone to Kehinde Andrews, you know, a pseudo-intellectual, race-baiting, race grifter who has done more to poison the debate around these topics. A man who, as you said, regards the Queen as the epitome of white prejudice.
He gets plenty of work out of the BBC.
I mean, this man wrote a book called The Psychosis of Whiteness. He said being racist is as British as a cup of tea, despite the fact that Britain's been proven to be one of the world's least racist countries, and racism is far higher in Africa and Asia than it is in Europe and in the Anglosphere. And this man is allowed to spout his rot without anyone actually being put on the other side to give some degree of balance.
One of the issues